Hi, good morning, church. My name is Allie Kruger, but this has been my home church at FUMC Allen since I was a child. I am a nurse by trade. I have been a nurse for the last 10 years, actually. I started out in ICU. I work mainly with cardiovascular patients. So that is what led me to work with patients during this time. With the pandemic, with COVID, I think that in March and April, when all of this started and became just very evident that it was going to be a lack of resources, perhaps for the hospital and the staff, I have stepped into a crisis role, ICU crisis role in Massachusetts, north of Boston, in a rural facility that really didn't have the resources to take care of the population in the census that it had coming in with COVID. There were changes, there was adjustments, adaptation, overcoming things, just shifting what you normally do. And we're not new to times of crisis. However, in the hospital, crisis is normally a short period of time, where in this particular timing and what was going on, it was more of a daily, heightened, constant, frequent, critical needs all the time. It was all of a sudden need for resources, for equipment, for staff, for all of the things. And so now we're kind of transitioning away from that with, like I said, more of what they normally see in their ICU and less COVID patients, less critical to that degree type of patients. And so again, it's a transitioning time. All the transitions might not be smooth. Staff adjusting again, it allows and it opens an opportunity for people to criticize, for people to have guilt, for people to lack their coping mechanisms. You know, in the response to the increase in influx, we learned to manage in a new way. And now we're having to go back to try to have a time of decompression from that heightened intensity. That is where my calling comes into play. So I have obviously felt the call to be a nurse since I was young, actually in middle school, and then again in high school, and I wanted to do something kind of critical or on a serving basis. Listening and hearing the call from Christ came in phases, but now I can discern a little bit better what it is that the Lord is calling me to do. I feel as though the Holy Spirit fills you with the thoughts and feelings of knowing your calling in the way that He filled you in knowing that you were called to Christ. I also know that moving through the other things that He set up, as in you will move to Boston and follow, and going through those things affirmed my faith, whereas there were still struggles. Just because you're called to do something doesn't mean that there will not be struggles, that you will not be harassed. I think the comfort for me knows that I was called here, He told me specifically, and therefore I can move through with that. Christ is putting you in this place in time, in city. He has sent you. And He's saying, my child, I am with you, and you will do great things. And therefore, I'm not afraid of what I do for work. Therefore, I am not afraid. Therefore, I find comfort even in the struggle. More recently, I woke up and wrote down a bunch of thoughts, and a lot of them were from God. And He was telling me, you, in fact, are not here for the patients. I can take care of patients anywhere. I am actually here for the staff. That is what I'm called for. to be a blessing to them and to encourage them and to help them through their coping, to help them through their stress, to maybe be offloaded to when they are really having a tough time. My purpose is to be a constant, to be a blessing, to actively work towards showing Christ-like behavior and be accepting, and not to work in fear or anger. I would just like to encourage you as God's people to be strong in your faith, to be bold in your calling. Society is calling us to do more these days, and to be honest with you, the Bible has called us to do more always. Step up into your role, into your calling. Don't hide in fear. Trust in Him. Lean on Him. And be a blessing to those around you.